Just Out Stays In, the new writing initiative by Just Out Theatre. You are listening to Accident of Birth, written by Trevor Suthers, directed by Becky Lennon, performed by Barbara Ashworth and Kieran Kelly, and edited by Ben Wilson.
I'm having something of a hard time at the moment. She'll tell you. That's right, isn't it? I'm experiencing... This is very difficult. Time hangs heavy just now, and time isn't exactly on my side. I'm not saying this isn't the right time. I'm just thinking to myself, now that we're here, now that the time has arrived, finally, I'm just thinking that this maybe isn't such a good time for me.
Antony.
It's okay. You don't have to say anything. You just need to let me get my head. I just need a little time to sort my head. Just give me a moment. I'll get to it. I'll come to it. I'm just absorbing. I'm just feeling my way around. Probably talking just for the sake of talking. While I get my bearings. While I find my centre. So I could... What is it? Now that you're here, now that I see you, now that time has finally come, I've only got one question. No, I don't. No, I've got hundreds of questions. My mind is buzzing with questions. It's like I'm in the midst of a swarm of midges, and every insect is a question. Millions of questions. Where do I start? Where do you start?
Would you rather... Would you prefer me to...
No, we must do this. It was me, it was I who set this whole process in motion. And now this is the time. The time has arrived for this to happen. And I've imagined it happening. I've imagined us meeting. Only I've imagined us meeting, I don't know, like a cafe or a pizza hut. I wanted to do this, only I never imagined I'd be here, you know. Do you see what I mean? I imagined it'd be somewhere else, like a cafe or a pizza hut.
Can I just... Would it be all right if I just...
Just what? You think we should hug? You think we should touch? You think we should embrace? Is that what happens?
I don't know. Just seeing you, I can't find the words.
But you know it's me, right? You know who I am. You know it's me.
Of course I know.
But the last time you saw me, did they let you see me? As a newborn, did they let you hold me? Or did they just whisk me away? Did you hold me?
I held you.
You held me! And now it's 36 years later. You want to hold me?
I want to help you.
Well, I could say if I wanted, I could say. Well, it's a bit late now, isn't it? There's not much you can do for me now.
This is... I wonder, might it be possible? Is it possible we could have some privacy?
Privacy? Here? Oh, there's no privacy here. All my visits have to be supervised. Right? Oh, but she's very discreet. Did you know that I'm being detained here at Her Majesty's pleasure? They have told you that. That it pleases Her Majesty that I remain confined here. Gives her pleasure, you see. Which is fine, if I can give pleasure to the ruling head of state that... No! Stop! Rewind! We're getting off subject. You didn't come all this way to listen to me babbling on about...
I came because you asked. You wanted to see me. You wanted to find me, and you... They found me, and now I want to do anything I can to...
To make things right.
No, there's nothing I can do, I realise that. Nothing I can... Well, even way back then, there wasn't anything I could do for you. If I could have done more...
Done more? I don't understand. What more could you have done? You did your bit. You brought me into this world, and I'm in the world through you here now. This is my world. Welcome to my world. The world you delivered me into. The world you thrust me into, all bloody and screaming. Here with these lovely people. who currently take care of me. These lovely people who have provided this delightful room for us to meet in 36 years later. Water under the bridge. Time hanging heavier and heavier with each passing minute, hour, day, week, year. And now here, reunited in this place after all this time. Why did you never want to see me?
I did see you.
Why did you never want to find me?
You weren't mine to find. I gave you up.
You gave me up? Why did you give me up?
Your father...
Wait, by my father, do you mean my real father? Do you mean the father who was a real father, or the father who just fathered, as opposed to a father who was an actual day-in, day-out father? Like a real mother, for instance, who did real day-to-day mothering, as opposed to a nominal, in-name-only mother, who just gave up one day.
I'm talking about George. I'm talking about Nora and George, your mother and father, who took care of you, who raised you, who I knew and trusted.
But of course, you'd never give me up to strangers. Is that right?
I did what I thought was best.
Didn't really turn out for the best, though, did it? Granted, admitted, you weren't to know. Who knows how things will turn out? We none have known. How could you have known? What was it that Oscar Wilde said? To lose one parent may be considered a misfortune, but to lose two can only be regarded as carelessness. Is that right? It's something like that. Is that Oscar Wilde? Does it ring a bell? I'm talking too much. Am I talking too much?
There's a lot to discuss.
Did you know they died? That they both died? I was orphaned at 18. Half a life away.
I'd left Rochdale by then, Sadie and I...
But did you know?
No. I didn't know. We were living in Salisbury by then and I'd...
Lost touch? Not that you were ever what you might call in touch.
I'd given you up for adoption. It wouldn't have been right for me to have any contact.
But there you go. We did have contact, didn't we? But you probably didn't know. We did have contact when I was little, because I always knew, you know. You probably didn't know, but I always knew. I always knew I was adopted. It wasn't a secret. It wasn't like, oh my God, I'm adopted. My parents, George and Nora, mum and dad, they told me. I don't know when they told me. I don't remember how they told me. It didn't really matter. It didn't really matter. What am I saying? What am I talking about? Who am I kidding? Of course it mattered. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm talking too much. What was I talking about? Contact. I know what I was talking about. Contact. On the buses, fares. Fares, please. Remember? Fares, please. Do you remember? They don't have that anymore. It's all one man, one woman buses. But then, do you remember? Fares, please.
Yes, of course I remember.
But do you remember this? Do you remember that you actually took my fare? That you actually issued me with a ticket? They don't have that anymore either, do they? Anyway, there we'd be, me and my mum when I was little, and we'd get on the bus and we'd go upstairs, because I always wanted to go upstairs, and you'd come upstairs and then you'd say, fares please, and my mum would pay for the fare and you'd give us our ticket and I'd hold the ticket because I always like to hold them, and then you'd go downstairs to collect the fares downstairs, and my mum would turn to me and she'd say, that was your mother. Or that was your birth mother. I can't quite remember exactly, but it was something. It was something like that. And I said, "Oh, really? How about that then? Nothing special. No big deal. Just something a bit out of the ordinary." You know what I'm saying?
I know.
What? You knew it was us?
It was a small town. I did know your mother by sight. The fact that George and I worked together, that's how it all came about. He was a bus conductor and I was a bus conductor.
Bus conductors? Sorry.
That's how we knew each other. Your father was a very...
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but that phrase, your father, are we talking about...
We're talking about George. We're talking about your mother and father, Antony. I was young. I was desperately young, and when I fell pregnant...
Sorry, when you say fell pregnant, what? You tripped, stumbled, lost your balance, and then, whoa and behold!
Please, Antony, I'm trying my best here.
I know. I'm making it difficult. I'm being difficult. Being difficult was what got me in here. No, go on. I'm sorry.
I'm assuming you'll know your parents, with them both being so open with you. You'll know, of course, your mother, George's wife, Nora. You know their mother couldn't have children and had a series of miscarriages. And when I became pregnant, and I knew all along I couldn't possibly bring up a child...
So you thought to yourself, there you go. He'd be the best people to bring up my baby. George and Nora. Perfect.
At that time, I know it'd be impossible these days, but at that time it was still possible to make those sort of arrangements, with everyone in agreement. Surely you realise that it was the best possible outcome.
The only trouble is they both died and you lived. Oh my God, did I just say that? No, I'm just stating a statement of fact. I ought to tell you. I mean, you probably already know. I don't know how much they've told you. I don't know how much you know, but I don't have any children. So I'm sorry. Never worked out that way. So sorry. No grandchildren. Something of a family trait, wouldn't you say? We're neither of us great breeders, are we? None of us great stock. Still, a good thing in some ways. No worries about passing on any disturbing traits down the next generation. This is where it ends. The last of the Mohicans. This is where it stops, I suppose. That genetic stain that must have run through generations of my forefathers, resulting in parentum peccata. Sins of the fathers, sins of the mothers. Original sin. Sloshing around in the old gene pool. It all goes back to something, someone, somewhere. Are you from a large family? Do I have numerous birth aunts and birth uncles?
My family situation. I'm sorry. Is it really important for you to know these things? Do you really need to know me?
I need to know from whence I came. We all need to know from whence we came. Does that sound pretentious? It sounds pretentious, doesn't it? Whence. Kind of makes you wince. I'm looking for a resemblance. I don't really see much of a resemblance. Nothing in the way of common features, anyway. Maybe I take after my father, is that it? By the way, what was he called, my father? I'm talking about the so-called birth father, the progenitor, the inseminator, the XY chromosome. What was he called?
His name was Patrick.
Patrick? Irish, was he?
I can't talk about him. I'm sorry.
You hear that? Half of my DNA and she can't even talk about him. I can understand why you wouldn't. Look, I'm not asking for very much here. Surely you can say something of, say, the physique of the man. This Patrick. Was he tall, short, fat, thin? Did he possess any distinguishing features? I'm presuming you got a good look at him. Was he in good health? Heart? Any obvious ailments? I'm not expecting a full medical history here, just some indication.
Look, it was a bastard. That's all you need to know.
Well, as am I. Collis pater talis filius.
Oh, this isn't working. I feel I ought to go.
No, please. Entirely inappropriate, pretentious, stupid, silly, Latin, showing off, nervous, awkward. Sorry. Really sorry. You know she knows. She's a doctor. The Latin. Like father, like son.
Only, it's not like father, like son. This is the whole point, surely. George was your father, not Patrick.
You and Patrick, though. I'm guessing the two of you. I'm guessing the two of you had a relatively short acquaintance, yeah? Am I right? I'm guessing he had little or no input with regards to the arrangements that were made after his initial and somewhat critical input.
Oh, Antony, please, this was so long ago.
Indeed it was. Indeed it was. And now, goodness knows how many years later, here we are, the two of us, genetically linked. I, the progeny, the offspring, the begotten, and you, of course, the begetter, the progenitor, the wellspring, if you like, of my existence.
Suppose that's one way of putting it.
So long a separation from the very source of my being.
A lot has happened since then, and those were bitter times for me.
What? I was born out of bitterness.
Please, just listen to me for a moment, please. I understand the questions you must have, but please try to understand me. The circumstances, the situation I was in then, so long ago now. The decisions I made, it was all so painful and traumatic.
I take it I wasn't wanted.
It's not as simple as that. And you were wanted. George and Nora wanted you. They loved you. You know that. You know that you were loved. I knew you were beloved.
But not by you.
I couldn't do anything for you.
Yes, I think you've already said that. I take it you didn't have any more children. I'm assuming I don't have any half-brothers or half-sisters. No, that's hardly likely, I suppose. You're hardly likely to make the same mistake twice. Unless, of course, you and Sadie decided to adopt. No, sorry, rewind. I'm straying off the point again. I do that. I'm going into the none of my business territory here. Once you handed me over, that was that. What you did afterwards. Well, and here's something else I bet you didn't know. When I was 16, Sada, you said your partner's name was Sada. Yeah, well, I know about Sada. Didn't you notice when you mentioned her earlier, I not only know about her, I actually met her. You wouldn't know this. There's no way you would have known this, but when I was 16, I used to work in a small industrial felt cutting factory. I can't remember the name of it now, but what I do remember, the lady, well, the girl who used to come round to the factory every Friday to hand out our wage packets. That was your girlfriend. That was Sada. And how do I know this? Because I saw you together. You and her walking hand in hand in Rochdale Town Centre. She had this huge bouffant hairstyle, walking with you in your short back and sides and your rather ill-fitting suit, I have to say. Very brave of you at the time. So many narrow-minded people. But there, I bet that was a surprise, something you didn't know. Like you said, small town. And that would be what? Just 2 years before my world collapsed.
I'm so sorry about George and Nora. They were such good people.
Good people indeed. And you and Sada, still together, still a couple, still a unit despite, well, whatever trials and tribulations. I don't know. I'm going to make an assumption here. Is that okay? I'm going to make an assumption that, well, how can I put this? That your current lifestyle, preferring women to men, shall we say, was a direct result of the, as you put it, painful and traumatic circumstances of having given birth to me. Would that be a fair assumption? Am I okay to make that assumption?
I'd really prefer not to speak about that. Really. I'm sorry, Antony, but I don't... It's not something I can speak about. Well, especially in these circumstances.
You don't have to worry about her. She's not taking any notes, not physical notes. Mental notes maybe, but not physical notes. So please, feel free to speak your mind.
I don't know what you want from me.
What I want? I'll tell you what I want, shall I? I want to know what the hell I'm doing here. I want to know what the hell I did to get me put in here. At Her Majesty's pleasure. That's what I really want to know. It's all right. Don't get alarmed, please. I'm not getting agitated. I'm perfectly fine. Fine. I'm talking about nature. Nurture. Don't you see? I'm a product of nature and nurture. We all are. Now, the nurture side, that's fine. I was properly nurtured, well nurtured. It's the nature side I'm struggling with. What the hell is my nature? It's you. You have the key to this conundrum. It's you who can tell me where my nature comes from, because it comes from you. It comes from you and this Patrick, this figure you won't talk about, whose nature I know nothing about, whose nature was passed on down to me, part of your nature, part of his nature.
I can't tell you anything about Patrick.
What? Nothing? Is he dead? Alive? Is he a drinker, a smoker, a practical joker? A rambler, a gambler, an ne'er-do-well, a captain of industry, a philosopher, a dreamer? A killer? This is what I'm asking you. Do I take after my father? Was my fate sealed right from the beginning?
You're asking impossible questions.
Look, I don't know what to call you. Margaret, I suppose. Mum would just sound a bit inappropriate. Look, Margaret, let me get to the crux of the matter. You know why I'm here. And I mean here as opposed to... I know you know what I'm supposed to have done. And the reason that I'm here. The reason I'm in this place with these lovely people watching over me. I'm in here on GBRI. You know what that is? Guilty by reason of insanity. That's right, insanity. It wasn't my fault. I've got personality disorder. I have an actual diagnosis. It's official. It's on file. It must have come from somewhere. I had a happy childhood. I was cared for. I was nurtured. So, thank you for that. For giving me up at birth. 3 cheers for you, Margaret. No, sorry, that's not necessary. Rewind. Let's get back on track. We all have inherited traits. You, me, Dr. Carr over there behind the screen. We all have traits passed down through the generations. Blue eyes, long legs, a fear of spiders, I don't know. You, for instance, your ancestors, which of course are my ancestors, my genealogy. Who do I think I am? The whole family history bit is probably a whole can of worms there. I don't know.
I can't see there's anything I can tell you. I don't know how I can help you. Oh, I wish I hadn't. You seem to be demanding some sort of blueprint, some sort of, I don't know, profile that would explain everything. As if I could somehow tell you that what occurred then, so many years ago, the circumstances surrounding your birth, somehow leading directly to the situation you're in now. Yes, I was obviously part of your life, a few brief months, and yes, I carried you, I bore you, you were, well, no, are part of me, but not in any meaningful way. Not in a way that somehow has determined what you are now. I can't be the excuse for your...
bad behaviour?
No, your personality, it's your own, it's not mine, it's not...
His personality. Patrick's personality.
I don't know his personality. You're your own person. There's thousands of things that have influenced you, affected you, made you the person you are, and being born out of wedlock is merely one of them.
Born out of wedlock? Is that what you call it?
I don't know what to call it. It doesn't matter what I call it. I couldn't raise you. George and Nora could. That was it. Sorry, Antony. I didn't want to come here. It was Sadie who said I should come. I've got to be honest with you. I didn't want to see you. I came because I didn't want it to seem as though I was turning my back on you.
Rejecting me? For a second time?
Why won't you listen to me? You're not mine to reject. You don't belong to me. I don't belong to you. We've no meaningful connection. There's nothing binding us together. You've no memory of your birth. There was no bonding. As soon as it was practical, you were moved to a home awaiting adoption. Our lives from that point onwards went in completely separate directions.
Aside from those connections where our lives actually intersected. The story I told you about, the bus fares, and then later in the felt factory.
Not really, Antony. I mean, how old do you think you were when you thought... When you were on the bus with your mother and you thought...
I don't know, 6, 7, 8.
Sadie and I left Rochdale just 2 years after you were born, so...
2 years?
That's right.
So, you never took my fare?
I don't see how.
And the girl from the office with the wage packets?
That couldn't have been.
Oh. Really?
Also, your father stopped working on the buses very soon after. I don't know where he...
The gas board. He was a meter reader.
There were no meetings, no consultations. Don't you see? I wanted to put it behind me as soon as I possibly could. Yes, I wanted to forget about it. There. Does that help? Does it help you to know that I rarely, if ever, gave you a second thought? Does that make me a bad person?
You have no memory of my birth? Really?
That's not what I said.
How about my conception, then? You have no memory of my conception? The circumstances under which you fell pregnant?
I'm sorry. I need to stop this. This isn't the time or place I can talk about this.
But I don't have any other time. I don't have any other place. Unless Her Majesty is no longer pleased to have me here. This is it for me.
You seem to want... to need to blame me for the crime you committed.
No, wait, no, hold on a second. There's no crime here. It's not crime to have a personality disorder. It's misfortune.
And your misfortunes. You want to trace them all back to me? Well, if it helps, then do so. If that's what you're looking for, then go ahead. There really is nothing more I can say.
I'm sorry. Rewind the tape again. I've got this all wrong. I've approached this all wrong. I'm behaving like some sort of sanctimonious medieval inquisitor. You're right. Everything you've said, you're right. Apart from one thing. Saying we have no meaningful connection. Nothing binding us together. Of course, the thing is that irrevocably binds us together is blood. We share the same blood. There is a bloodline connecting us. And as for blood being thicker than water, well, who's to say? I used to think... What did I used to think? I used to think a lot of things differently before my mother and father died. Sometime around about then, I lost my footing. I lost my grounding. Let me, just for a second, like you said, it's been a long time. You must be really disappointed in me. Did you really never take my fare?
No.
All those false memories I must have conjured up. You know something? In a strange way, I'm glad. I'm glad that my mum and dad never got to see how I turned out.
No, don't say that. It's not your fault. Why are we always looking to find fault? It's not my fault. I don't mean what's happened to you. I mean, it's not my fault what happened to me.
I know. Well, I think I know. You don't want to say it, and I understand why. I'll put it the best way I can, shall I? My conception, I don't believe it was consensual. Would that be fair?
Do you really, truthfully believe it's going to help you to know about the circumstances of your conception? Antony, I'm asking you. I know, I can tell it's troubling you, but please, ask yourself why. Why should a biological event totally outside your consciousness take on such significance for you? For me, yes, pain, suffering, depression, years of regret, a huge struggle to put it behind me and move on. Antony, you don't own it. My failures are my failures. Your failures are your failures. We have to own them. We can't ascribe everything to an accident of birth. Beginnings don't have to determine ends. Life isn't laid out like that. Well, I don't think it is. This fixation on your biological father, knowing, not knowing it, it's not going to help you. It's not going to change anything.
No, you're right. Nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to change for my victims. Those who bore the brunt, the end result. Those who had no say in the matter. It's never going to be safe to let me out. I know that. I'm going to stay here and let these lovely people look after me. I'm sorry I put you through all this crap. It's not helped either of us. It is what it is. One thing before you go. You said that you never gave me a second thought.
No, I didn't mean it like...
No, it's all right. I understand. Only now that we've done this, now that we've had this time, this connection, if you could give me that second thought, just occasionally, just for me to know that, just occasionally.
You've been listening to Accident of Birth, written by Trevor Suthers, directed by Becky Lennon, performed by Barbara Ashworth and Kieran Kelly, and edited by Ben Wilson.